It's time for Crossroads Football Live with Sports Director Gino Perez and Sports Reporter Zach Brown. Crossroads Football Live is sponsored by Palace Bingo, Frost Bank, Full Pep, Victoria Dodge Jeep Ram Wagoneer, and Victoria College.
Howdy, Crossroads, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 2 of Crossroads Football Live. Well, that's how long I've been doing this show in Victoria, and we have another eventful night for you tonight. Games are going down to the wire, and there might be some upsets brewing. I don't want to spoil that just yet, but we start where the game of the week happened in Industrial. Let's head on down to the Snake Pit, where the game of the week took place between Shiner and Industrial, and sports reporter Zach Brown is live with the winning coach. Zach?
Thank you, Gino. I'm here with the head coach of the victorious Industrial Cobras, and I'm sweaty and I'm on this side of the mic, but I know it's probably crazy being down there on the field, right?
Oh, yes, sir. It's hot and humid out here tonight, so we found a way. It was breezy earlier, and the breeze died. It's gone now. So
you guys found yourself in an early 14-0 hole, but then you fought your way back, and I mean, I guess you really saw the character of your team here tonight.
Oh, yes, sir. That's our MO here the last couple of games, is get down, early, then find a way to scrap back into it a little bit. This game, we were fortunate enough to, get back into the game for real, right in the thick of it, and come out with a win. So it was nice.
Now, your quarterback was the star of the game, but he's standing right over there. Go on and call him over here for me.
All right. Hey, Ashton, let's go. Come on, dude.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Thank you, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Congratulations on the big win. And we got the man of the hour, Ashton Garza. Man, just talk about the feeling down on the field. I mean, the game went down to the wire. You had to be clutch in your execution. How did you feel the team performed this week compared to last?
Spectacular. We were confident coming into this week that we were not going to lose on our home field, and that we hadn't beaten Shiner in a few years, and we were just ready to come compete, and it was ready to be a dogfight.
Talk about the atmosphere in this game. I mean, this was a very playoff-like atmosphere. Do you feel like this kind of sets the standard for you guys going forward for the rest of the year?
Yes and no. And deeper in the season, I plan to throw the ball more.
Okay.
And have about 5 in the air and 5 on the ground, if that makes sense.
I was going to say, you ran the ball very well, and you had a couple of really good throws. So how do you get better at throwing the ball? Is it chemistry? Is it just feel for the ball? What is it?
It's definitely feel in the pocket and feel with your receivers and timing, yes. But I really didn't trust myself this game. I didn't have the confidence like I did running the ball.
Okay, so how do you gain more confidence? What goes through a quarterback's mind if you're not feeling well throwing the ball? What do you do to get back on track?
Just watching film, studying, coming out on the weekends, going to trainers, stuff like that.
All right, awesome. Well, Ashton, man, heck of a game. Congratulations on the win. See you guys around. All right, yeah, so final score in this one, 41-34 Industrial, just edging out Shiner at the very last possible minute. Reporting live, Zach Brown, KVU TV 25, News Now Sports.
Now that we met with the coach and the potentially athlete of the week next week, let's check in the highlights from the game week 2 of the 2023 football season. And it starts with Ashton Garza. As you saw, somehow he makes his way out of the pile, and he is all alone down the sideline for the score. This would be his first of the day, and that cut the lead into halftime. But beginning into the second half, Industrial thinking of a comeback, and Ashton going through the air even though he said he couldn't, and connecting on a long pass, and this would set up Garza again with his legs. This time he just runs it up the middle and bounces off a few, over some, even through his own guy. Go ahead, celebrate, big man. I love it. I love to see it. And some mayhem happened for Shiner. The ball rose into the end zone, and there was a bunch of controversy. They don't know if it should have been a safety or a touchback. It was called a touchback, and Shiner would make the most of it as quarterback Carson Schutte would take it all the way. Quarterback's doing all the work in this one, but as Zach said, Shiner would go down. They were ranked number 9 in the state heading into this, but they lose 41-34. Shiner will take on Poth next week, and Industrial will take on Bowling. Wow. Another game that could have been game of the week is between the number 3 ranked Edna Cowboys and the number 8 ranked Bay City Black Cats. Edna looking to pick up where they left off last season as they went to the state semifinal game. Jaden Clay tossing it over to number 7 Miguel Reyes, and he is making people look funny as he goes down the sideline for a big game. But hey, this isn't it. He gets the call again, and once again he answers, this time snagging it, making people miss, zigging, zagging, Can he use his speed to get all the way to the touchdown, or is he gonna eventually get pushed out of bounds? That's okay though. Edna, Jaden Clay said, hey, you brought us down here, I'll fake it and I'll throw it to the big man. He throws it to Jacob Reyes and he goes in for the score. Edna takes the lead and a final score. What a game. This one could have been game of the week as well. 28-21, Edna gets the victory over Bay City. Now Edna, they can't celebrate too much because they're gonna have to go against number 2 ranked Refugio Bobcats. And when we come back, we're gonna see how they did, and we'll have highlights from multiple other teams around the area, including the Victoria West Warriors where I was at. So of course, grab a drink and a snack, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Are back for week 2 of Crossroads Football Live. Let's jump right into the Victoria West Warriors, which had its home opener tonight. The West Warriors were looking to avoid starting 0-2 for the second straight year against the Leander Grizzlies, and both teams came to play early on. It was camo night at Memorial Stadium, but the Grizzlies were the ones who were camouflaged. A run up the middle, lost the cameraman, which was me, and the defense, and Jalen Hines hits the hole, and he goes all the way down, putting West down 7-0 after the first possession. West driving and within striking distance, and Camden Repper, the quarterback, looks for a man, but is picked off in the red zone. But second quarter, they do not a lot with it. They get 3 points. The Grizzlies do. It's 10-0, West in a hole. West needing some momentum, and Zorian Barfield, he sprang into action, literally hopping over the defender, making one of the best plays of the night. Repper said, hey, I can use my arm too pretty good, as he makes up for the interception and throws it over the defense and gets tackled at the 1-yard line. Jenish Jeffries, as he is tackled at the 1, and Repper said, man, these quarterbacks, they can do it all now. They can use their legs and arms, because he goes in from 1 yard out for the score. But the Grizzlies did not let up, continuing to pound the ball, and the running back busts it open, taking the defense inside the 25-yard line. A few plays later, Hines goes in for the 1-yard score, putting West down 24-7 in the first half. Now let's see how they did the rest of the game. Victoria West has another heartbreaker. They go 0-2 on the year, losing to the Grizzlies 52-7. Now they'll take on Alice next week. Next up, the Bloomington Bobcats are looking to go 2-0 for the second straight year against Louise, and they're hoping to get their first win of the year. Caleb Taylor, he gets the big catch and makes a whole bunch of Bloomington Bobcats miss as he runs down the sideline before eventually pushing out. Next up, Louise gets the handoff, and number 5, following his blockers, making plays, stiff arm, and he goes in for the score. This is the first touchdown Luis has had all season, so he's pretty happy, of course. Next up, Bloomington trying to get something going as they toss it down the field, and Sebron Taylor for the reception as he gets a first down for 31 yards. Right after that, Bloomington would fumble the ball, and Lake Wadsworth comes up with the recovery for Luis. 30 seconds left in the first quarter. Then Tavion Kimball, He busts one open down the sideline, and he gets in for the score with 18 seconds left in the half. And Luis goes on to win 27-18. The Bobcats will take on Pettis next week, and the Hornets, they get the first win of the year. They'll take on Huelas Brazos. Next up, the Cuero Gobblers and Navarro Panthers, which are rivals. They have played each other 8 times in the past 5 years, with Cuero leading the series 5-3. Cuero running a screenplay to the left-hand side, and it's wide open. Kenneth Jackson could have walked in the end zone, and not long after that, Mason Notaro doing it all with his arm and his legs at points in the game. But Mason, he would drop back and throw a touchdown, and Dayton Varela would be open like Whataburger 24/7 as he gets the catch and for the score. Cuero goes on to win this one 35-7 against its rivals, staying number 4 ranked in the state. And Cuero will be celebrating their first ever state title that happened 50 years ago next week. And they'll be expecting a packed house because they'll be taking on its eldest rivals in the game, in the Yoakum Bulldogs. This is a contender for Game of the Week. Now let's check out some of the scores from around the area, and there are a lot of them. So first up is Victoria East, as they lose they got their first win, so they should be 1-1. But the Canyon Cougars get the victory 35-11 over Victoria East. The Titans will play Gregory Portland next week. Next up, we go to the St. Joseph Flyers, who started off strong, but they lose to Luling 32-27. Next up, the Calhoun Sand Crabs. They dominate the West Oso Bears 42-0. The Sand Crabs are going to go take on a tough Sinton team for week 3. Next up, the El Campo Rice Birds. They've been struggling all year so far, struggling on the offensive side. We saw it last week against Cuero, and that continued against the Miller Buccaneers 35-7. The Rice Birds are going to need to get something going. I don't know if Oliver Miles played. That's their best player on their team. We'll have to check that out, but they will play Veterans Memorial in week 3. And like I mentioned, Yoakum, they are on a tear this year. They're my dark horse to make it to the state championship game. I know that may be a lot to say, but Yoakum has studs, including the quarterback, who is a transfer from Del Rio. They scored 41 points tonight against a good Cameron Yeoman team, and they go on to win 41-20. They'll be looking to upset the party next week against Cuero. There's a lot of bad blood there, so we'll see what happens next week. Next up, we go to Goliad. Goliad gets a dominating victory, 56-7, after they got shut out last week. They put up a lot of points. They'll be playing San Antonio Cole in week 3. Next up, we got the Palacios Sharks. They get shut out. Ganado putting on a clinic 61-0. Ganado will take on East Bernard, and the Sharks take on Tidehaven. That'll be another tough one for the Sharks. The Hallettsville Brahmas, they got the upset last week against Shiner, and they win again this week, winning 43-0 over the Flatonia Bulldogs, and they'll take on Van Vleck next week. Tidehaven Tigers, they're continuing to roll 58-0 over Oldham. Not much to say on that. The Refugio Bobcats, let's check out how they did. They go on to win that game 55-0. They're going to be on a tough game against Edna. That one might be the game of the week. Next up, Yorktown. The Wildcats against the Wildcats, and Weimer got that one 37-0. Yorktown still looking for its first win against Woodsboro next week. Shiner St. Paul, they go on to win 47, that one's still in the fourth quarter, but 47-20. Next up, the Indians go on to win. The state champions win that one 38-0. They'll take on Kip Sunnyside Houston next week. And then the Victoria Gators, they'll take on Arlington Heights tomorrow. That game will be in Bloomington. This will be their first ever home opener, so that'll be exciting for the Gators. Now, what we like to do at this edition of Crossroads Football Live is I'd like to give a shout out to my friends Stephen Hicks and Alyssa Gerlitz. They had their rehearsal dinner today, and they have their wedding tomorrow. So I hope everything went off without a hitch. I'll be seeing y'all tomorrow. And hey, it was another great edition of Crossroads Football Live. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Meet us back here for the podcast after the show. We'll hopefully get it for you before midnight. Good night, Crossroads.